Customs of the Tagalog by Juan De Plasencia.
The Customs of the Tagalog was made to provide an eroticized description of the Tagalog natives, clearly fed by politics and propaganda. Juan De Plasencia wrote the Customs of the Tagalog to see the continuous progress of the native culture in the Philippines. He used his work to inform the Filipinos about the differences and the similarities of our culture by then and now. Also, Juan De Plasencia work made the Filipinos realize how amazing the Tagalog culture before.
Who creates the source? Juan De Plasencia. Background of the author. Born to the illustrious family of Portocarreros in Plasencia in the region of Extremadura, Spain in the early 16th century, he was one of the 7 children of Pedro Portocarrero, a captain of a Spanish schooner. Juan de Plasencia grew up during the period known as the Siglo de Oro, a golden age when arts and literature flourished in many parts of Spain, among them his native Extremadura. Fray Juan de Portocarrero del Convento de Villanueva de la Serena was his real name. Arrival in the Philippines. Fray Juan de Plasencia came together with the first batch of Franciscan missionaries in the Philippines. Arrived at a port in Cavite, a few kilometers south of Manila on the 2nd July 1578.
According to Father Juan de Plasencia, before arriving in the Philippines, of the year 1578 and writing this reading entitled Customs of the Tagalog around 1589, there was a social class of people that consists of datus, who was the barangay chief, captain of wars, and one who governed, obeyed, and revered of his people. He is also the one implementing laws, ensuring peace and order in the barangay, and giving protection to his subjects. Second is the Maharlika. Maharlikas are freeborn people who do not pay taxes and who assist the datu in his activities. The third type is the aliping namamahay, in which they have their own houses and are lords of their property and gold. The fourth and the last of the social classes of people is aliping sagigilyar. Aliping sagigilyar are the lowest type of people, because they are the ones who serve their master in his house and his cultivated lands, and they can also be sold. In addition to this, men and women have dress codes. Men wear headdress called putong. It symbolizes the number of people the wearer has killed. On their upper bodies, they wear kanggan. A kanggan is a type of short-sleeved jacket. On the lower body, they wear bahag. Women wear baro or kamisa for their upper body and saya for their lower body. They also wear ornaments, a decorative object, or detail that adds quality or distinction to a person, place, or thing. Their type of government is called the barangay, which is ruled by a chieftain and consists of 30 to 100 families, together with their relatives and slaves. Their economic life is based on agriculture in the plainlands, hunting in highlands, and fishing in the river banks and sea. Finally, some of their houses are made of bamboo and nipa palm leaves.
What is your prior knowledge and your newly acquired knowledge? Prior knowledge. Children can inherit their parents' wealth. Slaves serving their master and can also be sold. Newly acquired knowledge. Paying taxes already existed in the past. Slaves are captives of war. Chieftains doesn't need to pay taxes.
Is the source reliable? The source is reliable since Father Juan de Plasencia recorded and documented the traditions and practices of people in the Philippines, based on his own direct observation and judgments at first hand. Father Juan de Plasencia wrote numbers of books aimed primarily increasing natives' understanding of Spanish language and missionaries, understanding of local languages in order to facilitate the task of spreading Christianity. And the reason why it's reliable because it contributes to the Philippine history. The customs of the Tagalogs enabled the exploration of the ancient lives of the people living in central Luzon. It has continued to serve as basis for historical reconstruction of the Tagalog society. The information provided in the text gave vivid imagery, which allows for further analysis of the practices of the ancient Tagalogs, and comparison with other accounts of succeeding periods and significant events in the Philippine history. The account aids in realizing that mastery of local languages and culture leads to the success of Christianity in the Philippines. He uses his work to inform the Filipinos about the differences and similarities of our culture by then and now. Father Juan de Plasencia's work made the Filipino realize how unique the Tagalog culture was before the colonization.
What does the source contribute to your understanding of the past? The source contributes a lot in my understanding of the past. It gives me a lot of information regarding the events that happened in the past, promotes deeper understanding of rich culture that we have. The source explains about the tribal gathering in Tagalog as barangay, the aliping hamamahay known as commoners, and the aliping sagigilyar as slaves. It also introduced 3 kinds and classes of people in Visayan. The chief wombs Visayans called Datu, and Tagalog Maginoo. The Timawas as common people called Maharlika. Among the Tagalog, the slaves called Aripun by the Visayan and Alipins by Tagalog. The source also talk about the origin of slaveries that was made by war.
Native Races and Their Customs by Friar Francisco Colin.
Datu, equivalent terminology among Visayan called Datu. Duties. Being the chief of the barangay, he is the recognized traditional leader in the community and facilitate order and harmony within the community, oftentimes related to him by blood. He also acts as mediator during conflict and lead the fighting during tribal wars. Characteristics. A Datu is an expert in the customary law, a just and fair mediator in conflicts within the tribe, exudes a spiritual life, a respected and esteemed individual in the tribe, has conviction, humble, knowledgeable, trustworthy, dependable, and a good listener.
Next social class, the nobles or maharlika. Equivalent terminology, timwa or timawa. Their duties. In times of war, the maharlika were obligated to provide and prepare weapons at their own expense and answer the summons of the datu, wherever and whenever that might be, in exchange for a share in the war spoils, or ganima. They accompanied the ruler in battles as comrade at arms and were always given a share. Their characteristics. They were not required to pay taxes. They owned large tracts of lands. They had large numbers of serfs or peasants who did the work for them. They were owners of weapons and castles. And if an armed conflict broke out, the nobles were obligated to volunteer to serve the king in wars.
Aliping na mamahay. Tumarampok in Visayan terminology. Their duties is to serve their master, whether he is a dato or not, without anything in return. Their characteristics are they are slaves who are married and serve their datos. Additionally, they are slaves who live in their own houses on the property of their masters.
Aliping sa gigilid, equivalent terminology in Visayan. Ayuoy, halon, duties, Tagalog. They serve their master in their houses and cultivate their lands. They cannot own their own land. Characteristics, Tagalog. They are slave, bought from war. They're the lowest class, lives around houses of their master.